International Media TV. Television that listens to you.
Hi, I'm Johnnie Burrell. Welcome to the program.
Ambassador Andrew Young, I'm very proud and honored to meet you today.
Well, it's good to be here with you.
I've followed your career, so many millions of our folks have. And you've always walked straight and tall, and you've fearless, and it's just a wonderful thing to know and to meet you today.
Well, you know, one thing, Hosea Williams told Martin Luther King III, and I'd never heard it put that way. He said, you know, your daddy made it possible for us to be real men. Yes. He said, because he helped us conquer the love of wealth and the fear of death.
Wow.
And when you come right down to it, if you can do that, you can do almost anything.
Absolutely. It's really wonderful. Mr. Ambassador, in your book, An Easy Burden, you write the following in a form of dedication, and I'll quote, "To the ground crew who gave flight to the movement, and to the wives and mothers without whose faith, prayers, and willingness to sacrifice, we never would have had the courage to try." It's a very beautiful quote, and I'm wondering, I've heard about your wonderful organization, Good Works International, and I wonder, they're helping African countries to survive all over the world.
Well, actually, we have tried that, and we've basically brought that to an end, and I'm working now with my foundation, the Andrew J. Young Foundation.
Right.
But we're doing the same things. Through Good Works, we were trying to do it for profit because I didn't like begging for money.
Right.
And nobody will give you money to do things that really need doing. So we did pretty well for about 15 years. But then I turned 80. And I decided I didn't want to work. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do, and we worked with my daughter, my wife, and mostly my family and friends to put together the Andrew J. Young Foundation. And my idea was, well, it's also in the book where my grandmama used to say all the time, to them to whom much has been given, of them will much be required.
Yes.
And I realized that everything I've done, somebody else helped me do. Not just my parents, but generations before. And most of it was through the church, through the YMCA, through the historically black colleges, and around the city of Atlanta. And so I've tried to concentrate. I pulled back a little bit from Africa because I thought we were doing better than we're doing. And when I realized how they were ganging up against President Barack Obama, I decided that we still had work to do here, and that I'm still doing things with Africa, but only as they ask me. I'm going next month. Well, my parents went to schools founded by missionaries in the 1880s, 90s. At the same time, missionaries were founding schools in South Africa, and two of those schools are having fundraising benefits, and they've asked me to come over and speak to kind of build that bridge. Now, those are the schools that Nelson Mandela went to, Joshua Nkomo, Robert Mugabe, most of the leaders and many of the young leaders that went to jail with Mandela, their parents went to school there. Now they are, well, we've got a whole generation of African billionaires, but they have forgotten how they got that money.
Are they here or in Africa? Or?
They're in Africa, all over the continent. They're doing extremely well, but they're not doing, only one or two of them are doing enough for the poor. and one in particular who sent 10 students to Morehouse from Africa this year. But he takes care of 44,000 orphans. And he runs the telecommunications networks in Southern Africa, EchoNet Wireless. His name is Strive Masiwa, and he doesn't live a big fancy life, but he donates 2% off the top of everything he makes to the poor. And as a result of that, and taking care of all of these orphans for all of these years, now he's having to send them to college. They don't have enough space for them, and he's taking some of the smarter ones, and he's sending them. 10 this year came to Morehouse. 20 will come next year, 10 to Morehouse and 10 to Spelman. And he's going to send 80 students. He'll keep 80 students in school in Atlanta at his expense.
That's wonderful.
And so we want to encourage more of the young African millionaires to realize that whatever we've done, somebody helped us. And somebody helped our parents, or we wouldn't be educated.
Absolutely.
And so we've got to keep that education tradition. And my wife and I are both, she's on the board of Clark Atlanta University. I'm on the board of Howard. I had been on the board of Howard. I'm now on the board of Morehouse. And we're trying to keep those colleges alive because they keep our heritage alive. And you're not going to learn. I went to USC one summer, but I was the only black thing on the campus then. I didn't see another colored face. One Japanese boy in my class. That was a long time ago. I know it's different now. But the heritage and history and culture of our people and the impact that we've had on the world. For instance, no big white school has produced a Martin Luther King.
No.
And there's a whole, I don't think there's another city, we've had a lot of cities with black mayors, but I don't think there's another city that has done as much with the position as we've been able to do. And it's not because we're smarter, it's because we have a network of colleges and universities that keep feeding talent into our cities, and so we're learning to solve problems under black leadership. Atlanta has grown from less than 1 million people in the metropolitan area, and we're up to 6 million now. Wow! And we're still basically running the city because it's running well. But that wasn't easy. We had to work together as a people to make that happen.
Well, it's interesting you're saying that because here in the Bay Area, black presence is diminishing. We've got San Francisco down to about 7%. And over here in Oakland, it's really gone. It's diminishing. We're really diminishing here in this Bay Area. So
well, a lot of them come into Atlanta.
Oh wow! Then that explains that.
No, but we'd much rather that we do that they learn some of the things that we're doing in Atlanta and come back here.
Yes.
Now we learned a lot from Willie Brown.
Yes.
And Willie Brown has worked very closely with us. We've worked very closely with your Attorney General.
Kamala Harris, she's wonderful.
And and I'm out here basically at the invitation of Barbara Lee and Elihu Harris.
Yes. Very
so even though we're 3,000 miles apart, we've been very close together, and we've helped each other at various stages. And actually, it started out, I came out here with Dr. King in 1963, and we had 60,000 people at the Coliseum. And that was the biggest fundraiser the civil rights movement ever had.
Wow.
So we know that California has helped us, and so we don't hesitate when something good is going on in California. We want to be a part of it.
Well, I was going to ask you then, my question then becomes, do you have that same crew of people on the ground for your foundation movement as you did with the other group?
Well, unfortunately, I'm one of the few, a lot of the guys didn't make it. I mean, it was a real strain.
I know it was.
Living the way we lived. And I was blessed with good health, and I never smoked, I never drank, and I was always, concerned about my lifestyle. And I never worried. I learned very young to put things in God's hands.
Absolutely.
And so when things looked bad, I just knew it was the dark before the dawn.
Absolutely.
And I never I don't think I've ever been that depressed. And a lot of the students, for instance, used to get very depressed and very angry and very frustrated. And my father raised me to control my emotions. I was 4 years old, and we were on the corner of my house was the Nazi party.
Oh,
And they were Heiling Hitler. And he was trying to explain white supremacy to me. And he said, white supremacy is a sickness. And you don't get mad with sick people. You think about it and you figure out ways to help them. And he took me to see Jesse Owens in the movies win in the 1936 Olympics. And he said, see, when Jesse Owens won, Hitler got mad and walked out. But Jesse Owens didn't get mad. He just went and won 3 more gold medals.
That's right. That's right.
And he always said, don't get mad, get smart.
That's right.
Your troubles are also your opportunities. And I think because I was raised that way and with a grandmother who did not fear death, who looked forward to dying, and Martin did too. Martin used to laugh and joke about getting killed. Yeah. And he'd always put it on some of us. But he'd preach your funeral, and he'd preach your funeral signifying on you more or less like, Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
But he made us laugh at death.
Yes.
And because he knew that death could come for any of us at any time.
Any time.
And he said, look, don't worry about if you live a good life, death will take care of itself.
That's right.
And he said, if you haven't found something you're willing to die for, you're probably not living very well anyway.
That's right.
So we decided that we wanted to live and were willing to die to make America do right. And
do you think that we've kind of lost a lot of that wisdom that we had back in those days, the civil rights movement? Do you think that our youth are able to carry on with these very premises you're talking about? This is what makes us strong people.
They are and they aren't and not. See, one of the problems was we didn't have any choice. They have choices now. And they're doing so well materially.
Yes.
That they think they're free.
Yeah.
We knew we were not free. And we had some very specific barriers that we had to overcome. I didn't know where I was going or what. I was most depressed when I graduated from college because I knew I didn't know anything. And I didn't know what life held in store for me. And it was a kind of a religious awakening that came to me after college, and a guilt over having wasted an opportunity to get an education, that suddenly I started searching for what I wanted to make my life work about. And from then on, it's almost downhill all the way.
Well, I wish we could have a place a number or somewhere contact that we will get to flash on our screens so that we can participate in your foundation, because I think that this is what we've been searching for. We need to give those things back to our children. And I thank you so much. Did you want to say something else?
Yeah, I think it's www.andrewjyoungfoundation.org.
Yes, because I think if we got organized behind just the things that your father taught you, that would be something that's very much missing with our children. Ambassador Andrew Young, thank you so much for joining us here today. And thank you very much for listening to this wonderful, wonderful man who has a great deal to say about picking ourselves up no matter what's happening to this country today. These are the things that make us great as a nation, as a people, as a country, all over the world. Thank you so much for joining us.
And
thank you.